Is giving everybody free money every month a radical idea? Hello everybody, I'm Sherman Lee, and today I will be presenting about the universal basic income. In recent years, the UBI has been cast back into the spotlight as a means of providing everybody with a guaranteed basic standard of living. So what exactly is it about? Generally, a UBI proposal encompasses two elements: unconditionally giving everybody a set salary regardless of their means, and increasing some form of tax to sustainably fund the universal basic income over a set period of time. This is the notation that I will use, which follows the lectures, and the assumptions here also generally follow the lectures. Before delving into the analysis, we can use a simple model reflecting post-tax and pre-tax income to see that the introduction of such a UBI proposal would most definitely increase the post-tax purchasing power for lower income individuals while worsening that for higher income individuals. Onto indifference curve analysis, we can see that the initial budget constraint, represented by BC0, is now moved to the new budget constraint, represented by BC1, after the introduction of a UBI proposal, with BC0 having a steeper gradient than that of BC1. Here, there is a kink at n equals to t, explained by consumers having the ability to minimally consume c equals to mu even if they choose not to work at all, as they are provided a UBI. However, can we really be sure that BC1 is completely above BC0? As shown by the math, we do not know whether BC1 lies completely above BC0, and so under what conditions will they intersect? Very specifically, BC0 and BC1 will intersect if this inequality is satisfied. Since UBI payments and the increase in tax rates are exogenously determined and affects everybody equally, I will focus my analysis on the impacts of this UBI proposal on individuals with different wages. For individuals with low wages, BC1 lies completely above BC0. Initially, the consumer optimizes at bundle A, but after the introduction of the UBI proposal, the consumer's new optimal bundle is at bundle C, at a higher indifference curve. This change from bundle A to bundle C can be decomposed into the income and substitution effects. The substitution effect is responsible for the reoptimization from bundle A to B. Due to the falling cost of leisure, consumers substitute away from consumption towards the now relatively cheaper leisure, resulting in N increasing and C falling. The movement from B to C isolates the income effect. As a result of the UBI proposal, consumers now have higher purchasing power even with fewer working hours, leading to consumers being able to consume more while also having more leisure time. Overall, N increases, C increases, T minus N decreases, and utility increases. As T minus N reflects the number of working hours, a fall in T minus N would reflect a fall in labor supply. Using utility as a metric for welfare, individuals within this group will definitely experience higher welfare. However, for individuals with higher wages, the analysis is not as straightforward. From the diagram, BC0 and BC1 intersect at point n equals to x. I will classify individuals who have their optimal bundles on the left of the blue line with the specific budget constraint as group A and those on the right as group B. Group A individuals will have a smaller n in their optimal bundle as compared to group B, and through revealed preference, we can see that for a fixed budget constraint, group A individuals prefer consumption to leisure more than group B individuals. For initially group A individuals who stay group A, it is clear that the substitution effect leads to a rise in N and a fall in C, while the income effect leads to a fall in N and a fall in C. As they'd be working quite a lot prior to the introduction of the UBI proposal, they would suffer the most when the marginal tax rates are increased. Overall, while it is clear that the welfare of this type of individual falls, the impact on labor supply is ambiguous, as both SE and IE work in opposite directions for the change in N. If SE dominates IE, there will be a net increase in N and hence a fall in labor supply. However, if IE dominates SE, there will be a net fall in N and hence a rise in labor supply. For initially group B individuals who stay group B, it is clear that both the substitution effect and the income effect result in a rise in N. Also, as their new optimal bundle is on a higher indifference curve, it is clear that their utility would increase. As such, a UBI proposal would lead to a rise in welfare but a fall in labor supply for these type of group of individuals. For initially group A individuals who turn to group B, the impact of the UBI is very interesting. The substitution and income effects both result in a rise in N. Also, as bundle C is on a higher indifference curve than bundle A, the utility of these individuals would increase. Interestingly, even though they were initially group A individuals, the UBI still resulted in an increase in their welfare and a fall in the labor supply of this group of people. Extending our analysis, we can see that as wages become very high, the likelihood of an individual falling into group A and staying there becomes significantly higher. Thus, the introduction of the UBI proposal would most likely lead to a fall in welfare for individuals with very high incomes. Borrowing the assumption from the lectures where IE is hypothesized to dominate SE at high wages, the introduction of the UBI would most likely cause an increase in labour supply from this group of individuals. On an aggregate level, there are significantly more low-wage workers than high-wage workers in a country. Furthermore, even amongst the high-wage workers, I argue that very few of them are likely to prefer consumption so much more than leisure, and thus probably make up a small proportion of the country's working population. As such, a country introducing a UBI policy would most likely have an increase in welfare but a fall in labour supply on an aggregate level. Moving away from indifference curve analysis, I will now discuss the possible advantages and disadvantages of a UBI. For one, a UBI is likely able to reduce poverty traps that result from the conventional means testing benefits system. As found by Brewer, the current system has hefty participation tax rates which traps lower income individuals in a poverty trap. A UBI ensures that individuals do not fall through the cracks of social assistance, thereby granting them better ability to pull themselves out of poverty. Furthermore, as argued by Fitzpatrick, various test schemes have proven successful, with many reporting being happier and healthier as a result of a UBI, which is very important in motivating the low income to continue seeking out work. Also, a UBI will help in increasing flexibility in the labour market, as reduced frictions will lead to more vacancy creation. As the UBI is given equally to both the employed and unemployed, firms are more incentivized to create vacancies, allowing for individuals to source for jobs that better fit them. Beyond vacancy creation, UBI also helps to reduce economic precarity for many individuals. As shown by Martinelli, there is a proliferation of zero-hour contracts in the world, with labour markets providing less security for income earners today. A UBI would help to balance the power dynamic between job seekers and employers, allowing them to get higher bargaining power for fairer wages, while also allowing job seekers more stability when they're in between jobs, reducing the potential for underemployment or unfair employment contracts. However, that is not to say that a UBI does not come with disadvantages. In Ludoviz's paper, a counterfactual exercise which implemented Andrew Young's UBI proposal found that there was a sharp contraction in the economy's capital and output due to a decline in labour force participation, drop in hours, and the precautionary saving motive. Beyond its long-term impacts, the implementation of a UBI is argued by many to be far too expensive, as seen in Martinelli's paper. Having said that, the fiscal sustainability of a UBI proposal boils down to the specific proposal of UBI chosen, and it may not be that radical to fund it, with more sustainable alternatives also presented in Martinelli's paper. Finally, I will discuss the shortcomings of the leisure consumption model used at the start of the video. To begin, the model relies on static analysis, which completely ignores the dynamic impact that the UBI has, as individuals may choose to seek out upskilling with the aid of the UBI, allowing them to seek out employment with higher wages. Thus, a thorough analysis of the UBI's long-term impacts would be more complex than the one found in the model. Furthermore, the limiting assumptions used in the model may not hold true in reality. In reality, workers are not freely able to choose their hours of work and leisure immediately in response to a change in post-tax wages, as they are bound by contracts. Also, the assumption of a flat marginal tax rate does not hold true in the real world, where progressive income taxes are used, and changing the marginal tax rate, especially on higher income individuals, may not bring about as much revenue as expected. Beyond that, the assumption that behavioral factors do not play a role in individual decision-making process is simply dangerous. Hyperbolic discounting innate in individuals could mean that individuals may choose to utilize the money from UBI recklessly, which defeats the purpose of the UBI. And reference dependence would mean that many individuals would now base their reference consumption off the consumption they're able to obtain with the UBI, and it could actually make them worse off in the long run if UBI payments are not able to match up with inflationary pressures, but attempting to do so would also prove very difficult and expensive for governments. Lastly, the model provides limited dimension for analysis. For example, assuming that individuals' utilities only depend on consumption and leisure leaves out many non-market activities such as caregiving, which individuals also have to allocate time for, leading to an uninformed conclusion on the impacts of a UBI on one's time allocation and welfare. Furthermore, some very crucial non-economic dimensions are not factored into the model when analysing the UBI, such as psychological impacts or the political feasibility of a UBI. In conclusion, as George Box once said, all models are wrong, but some are useful. Despite the limitations of our model, I believe it does allow us to glean insights into the possible effects of a UBI. With all that is discussed, considering that there has been no large-scale long-term trial of a UBI, there is still a long way to go before we fully understand the impacts that a UBI can have on individual, countries, and economies. But until then, we must not stop having robust discussions about it. Thank you.